Heyo, my name is Sarah, and today's book review is on The Dragon Republic, Book 2 in the Poppy Wars trilogy by R.F. Kuang. Non-spoilers. I give this book a 2.5 out of 5 stars. So right off the bat, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I got hit like right off the bat severely in the head by middle bookitis. I don't know why. I just read the first few pages and wham, it hit hard, which is why it took me a while, very while, to get through this book. We kind of pick up a few months after the events of the first book, The Poppy Wars, with Rin and Thissika now on the run, kind of enemies of the state, and she wants revenge. And let's just say the first quarter-ish of the book, I just wanted off the ship and not to be dealing with this, because for some weird reason I enjoyed Rin in book 1. I really did. I enjoyed her fiery passion and not pun for the phoenix, but something about how we just pick up after book 2. Yes, I get it. She's on the opium to control the phoenix, but there's just something about her in the first quarter-ish of the book that just made me want to get off the ship and everything. And yeah, she had her revenge. I was looking at Chaga and it's like, are you sure you're not going to intervene? But something happens and we are just like rolled in to the Dragon Republic, aka the Dragon Warlord, who wants to form a republic, who is Nisha's father, who is alive. So non spoilers, but still. And so we get swept into that. I love politicking, okay? I love it so much, but just all I can say is the Hesperians have shown up. And when I saw them, I wanted to get off the boat when Rin was going on the beginning book. But here, I was frustrated and infuriated. Infuriated because of the presence of the Hesperians, which would be a good thing. Again, I like politicking when it's done good, but some people were making very, very stupid decisions. Infuriated because we actually had a mustache twirling evil force in the background that was dangling a carrot. I hate those people. I really do, and that gets me going. That makes me want to see what happens to see their demise. They're so blatant in the face that I'm looking at people making these stupid decisions like, you're not seeing this, especially Rin. Rin, please, Chaga, talk some sense to her. And it's just like, oh my god. So it just became a point where I didn't want to see certain people's faces because they just brought the worst out in me. And usually, again, in a book, I love that. I love seeing their demise. I want to see them just wither and die before my feet, and I cackle. But here, I was so frustrated that I got tired. I am so sorry, people. I'm just like rambling about how this book just drove my patience to insanity, and this middle bookitis syndrome that just made me took me way too long to try to finish. Because after we got on another boat to enact the Republic's, bring all of Nikara Empire that's under Sudachi as a republic, get the Hesperian as, your sponsors, people, because they have weapons and science that we need. In order to get those, we need to prove we are a civilized nation. But after we get, I'd say maybe, like we finally leave and go try to bring upon the Dragon Republic, then I started getting in the groove of things. I started getting a little bit more interested. Again, some things picked my peak, but it took a while. It took me a hard while to get there. And when we finally got to the end, I'm like, y'all didn't see this coming? really? I saw this not just a mile away, but an ocean away, where we could avoid so many things. And I'm looking at you, Sudaji, as well, because things aren't what they seem, but they are in your face. And the characters were either too stubborn or just a little too, I'm not gonna say stupid, but they're just like la la la, not wanting to see it. Either way, the consequences of our actions happen at the end of the book, and it ends off with now another civil war, which again could have been avoided on multiple occasions, but no, we just decided to go down that road. This book just, it frustrated me so much. I am so sorry for this ranty non-spoilers, but this book, it just brought out the worst in me. I'm serious. That would have been a good thing. I would have enjoyed that, but this being a middle book and getting hit with a case of middle book-itis that I haven't been hit with for a very long time, and our characters making not just rash but dumb decisions. The only one who is smart enough is Kate. I am saying that right now. Kate, if we didn't have him at all, we would be dead. We would so be dead. Rin making really dumb decisions and being in charge of the Saka, which Chagan doesn't is like, yeah, he's reluctantly respecting her out of respect for Altan's death, which again, they keep saying he's dead, but I don't see a body. Neja, I was really happy to see you, but after everything that's going, I kind of understand your decisions. It's just that your family, just don't put your family around me in any vicinity where I can see a speck of them, because I will so get into that in spoilers, because that just, when I say blood boil, I mean just visceral, deep down, hellish anger. And again, that would be a good thing. That would make me want to see what happens to them. But this one's like, it just tired me. It wore me down. I became so sad. I just looked at this book sometimes and I just didn't want to read. But after we got to a certain point, it became readable. I was intrigued. Secrets. Actual plot-worthy secrets. And the ending. Could have avoided some things. But all in all, I feel like this was just, based off my rating, a little bit of a letdown from book one, where I really enjoyed these characters' growths, but just something happened to where I wanted off of this, right? I wanted off in the next town over and not to deal with this ever again. But yes, I will continue on and finish this trilogy because, again, things happen plot-worthy halfway marker to the end, to where I was like, okay, we made it there, and we are probably gonna get the civil war that I was looking forward to, because here I can see why Sudaji likes seeing her warlord squabble, and that shouldn't be a good thing. And that's as much as I can get into non-spoilers. The Dragon Republic, Book 2 in the Poppy Wars trilogy by R.F. Kuang. 2.5 out of 5 stars. Bye, non-spoilers. Shh. Spoilers. So, yeah, I have to bust out the fan for this one. Where do we start? So, Rin and the Saka have been in company for 3 months of the Pirate Queen Mon, who, you know, is doing the illegal trade, drug businesses, little selling of armory every now and again. And we're told that they have been working with this Pirate Queen for 3 months. In return of having ships, Moang wants the death of about 30 people in their heads as proof. And we're just told about this. We are on the last hit to get Moag's, you know, services. And I was like, I was intrigued, and we don't get to see any of this because, yeah, Rin, who has been very questionable as a leader, where Chagun's been very reluctant, and the Saka are like looking who should really be led under, and Rin, of course, being under the influence of opium to control the Phoenix. She is not really up to par, but we go get our last head, and who happens to be there but Sudaji. And we want Moag's people to go to war against Sudaji. And what happens? The Phoenix takes advantage of that, and Rin kind of loses control, which harms Unagin. And Chagun manages to get Rin out of there. Studi and Baji do manage to get the head, but because of this outburst and nearly dying, Unagin and their medic, Enki, leave. And that was kind of the last I kind of cared about the Saka, because I think for Arakwan, the whole events of the book, I think the Saka took the biggest backstage ever, that I kind of forgot about them, and because of that, I really didn't care. So that's a thing. We go to Ankilim, which is the stronghold HQ floating city of Moag, and we meet some of our Dark Lilies, who are courtesans and assassins that Rin is already on a shaky relationship with, and we did not see any of this, and we were just told. I'm going to be doing this a lot, people. But we go to Moag, presents the head, and she's like, I want one more. And they're like, what? And she's like, yeah, that last job y'all kind of botched, and if you want my shifts, you gotta just take care of this one little job. It's one little guy. And Rin reluctantly is like, okay, one more job. We get a boat. That's a thing. But it turns out Moag sold them out to a Hesperian ship. I was like, ooh, boat. But guess who's on there? Because even though Moag sold them out, this group of people kind of wanted Rin and the Saka. And on it is Nezha, who we haven't seen after parts of book 1, because apparently he did not die in the gas. He was actually taken prisoners by the Federation. And they said, hey, he's a warlord's kid. We can use him, you know, as a trade or something. Obviously, they did not know Nezha's father, because they tried that, and let's just say they met severe endings. But because Rin is known for having, you know, basically turning the Longbow Island of the Federation, was it Muganese, the Muganese people's islands, into just burnt lava land, she has a reputation as a spearly, and what do you know, the Dragon Warlord wants her for reasons. Lord. Another thing that I was very, very upset that we didn't get to see is because while Nezha wants to take Rin and the Saka to go meet his father, the Dragon Warlord, she's like, we can't leave Kate, who is under house arrest and doing the accounting for Moag for reasons. And they just go get him after causing a fiery diversion, and Kate is angry, understandably, because he was almost done balancing the books. He was like literally a day away from fixing all of these numbers when Nezha goes gets him, which results in a punch. And I can understand that. What upsets me again is that we did not see any of this. I get the other half of this book, but I think I would have been more excited to actually have seen this 3-month venture of trying to get Moag to be on their side, and seeing the strife between the Saka and Rin, who was given this leadership just because Altan passed and she wanted to honor his legacy, but we're also seeing her spiral, and we're seeing Chagun, who doesn't take up the mantle, but in order to honor Altan's legacy is still working with her. But the team sees that they are divided, and when we go see Kate, I don't understand why he's not just angry, but he feels very, I don't know if the word spiteful is the right word, but something happened between those 3 months. It might have been the fact that an entire nation, but I feel like there's something else. And for his safety, I guess Ren agreed to Moag's terms of having Kate under house arrest and giving him her accounting books, which kept him busy, but he was always reluctant to see Ren. He kept denying her visitations until she came to go see him. So there was a lot going on for those 3 months. And from that to the last job, to Neja busting Kate out and Kate being frustrated over the counting, I feel like that would have been a good half of a book itself. And then we find out Neja is alive and that the dragon warlord, his father, wants to unite Nakara and lead it to a republic. The other half, we could have gotten maybe cleaned up a little of what was going on that made me so frustrated in the rest of the half of the book. But I'm just saying people, I think this would worked really, really well if Arc-Long just showed us actually what happened in those 3 months than just being at the end of the leg. I'm just saying, that's my opinion, so don't get mad at me. And this is where my frustration begins to rear its ugly head, because we meet Neja's father, Yin Viceroy, who this man didn't even speak. We just met him. We walked in the room. I saw him breathe. And I was like, oh no. Because he wants to bring upon a republic. Yes, democracy. The freedom of the people to vote. We all know how that goes in history. He wants Ren to be his weapon, to be his tool. He does wean her off of the opium. And he cold turkeys her. Which I thought, that is dangerous. That is extremely dangerous to do. Luckily, Sunny is there, but I was really concerned for her medical well-being. But Viceroy, he looks at Ren and he treats her like a child, like she's useless, like she has no purpose under him. And he just belittles her so much. And then when she gets better and she starts to train, he starts treating her like a father trying to love a child, like a loving child, and she latches onto that. And I'm like, Ren, later on in the book, when you're saying you don't like to be manipulated, when you don't want to be manipulated, and you acknowledge the fact that Viceroy is a good manipulator, but you're saying I am not a tool. Honey! Hello? Are we using our brain here? Is anyone in there? Because again, I saw this man. I didn't hear him speak. We just walked into the freaking door. We walked into his office on the boat. And he inhaled. I heard his lungs move. And I was like, no. No. One of these stupid plans is to infiltrate the Autumn Palace after, Ren is kind of not 100% up and running and they have her training with Alton's trident, which isn't her fighting style. But no, we come up with a plan. First of all, we're trying to get a warlord, a snake warlord, who was Viceroy's mentor on their side, because we need the warlords on our sides to do this republic. But we have to show Sudaji we are actually on her side, meaning we sent word that we have Ren, the last spirit, and we are going to present her to her. So the plan one, besides getting the snake warlord and testing to see where the other warlords stand, is to try to get in there and kill Sudaji. Well, we present Ren with this shady plan in the city where the Autumn Palace is, which doesn't seem to be affected by the war with the Federation. And, the warlord Spicker, Sudaji is there watching everything happen. Ren is like, this is stupid. And I am like, I will take number one and make it a large, because I have a feeling we're going to be here for a while, because oh my god, these warlords just Spicker. I can understand how Sudaji has been able to play everyone this entire time. But either way, we do get alone time with Sudachi, and she tries to do her Viper's thing, trying to get Rin on her side. But of course, the Phoenix isn't having it. And Nua, I don't know if that's how I pronounce it correctly. It's I think N-U-W-A with the fancy dot over the U. And she is the god that Sudachi has the bond with, and they attack Phoenix. Like, they bite her. And Chang'e manages to get into the realm of the gods and save Rin. But I was like, that can't be good for a god to attack another god. I'm like, what were those consequences? And I feel like those consequences were made big, but we forgot about those consequences, and I'll get onto that in a bit. With the plan failing and the palace in an uproar, the warlords are now fighting, and Viceroy is wounded, and Rin goes back for him, where we could have let him die and let this whole thing die with us. But no, she goes back and saves Viceroy. Oh boy. We retreat to the Dragon Province, to the capital city of Arlong, One Piece people. And while Viceroy is out of commission for a bit because he was injured, apparently there's another one. That Nezha, your family, oh my god, they're playing with me. They're playing with all of my Chu brain cells, because we meet Jinja, who is basically a mini-me of Viceroy. And if his arrogance wasn't higher than his father's, oh my lord, because he does the same tactics with Rin. He belittles her and everything, and she tries to make a point where, again, that biting, it gets back to us because she cannot call up the Phoenix. She cannot make the fire go boom. And Jinja is like, we should have saved the other one, meaning Altan. Oh, Chaga, we need an explanation here. And he said basically Nua placed a seal on the Phoenix, cutting Rin off from connection, and the longer the seal remains in place, it will corrode her mind until she forgets. Power of the Phoenix, power of her memories, one of the two. But then after that, not really brought up until, because this is part 1, part 2, and part 3. It doesn't get brought up until middle-ish of part 3, to where I felt like this seal is easily forgotten. Weeks pass with the warlords that agreed to Viceroy's Republic not really doing a good work of chain of command. Kate, who was fighting us every twist and turn, which, boy, I do understand. But when we got to the On Palace, he found out his father did die, and he is very 100% against a part of the Republic now. But he still has his head. He's still brainy, meaning he is playing the 5-step chess, which he shows his frustration because these warlords are bickering. And Kate is breaking up of all these plans, and they're not agreeing. Sorry, dude. Nezha and Rin do training. We see them bonding again, like, you know, a very good friendship. And there's still a little bit tension of to what happened the last we saw them. It's the marks of war. It's the scars of war that still afflict them. And okay, I can get that. I get that. But we see ships and blips because the Dragon Republic, Arlong, has a bunch of good ships. It reminds me of, basically, they did have one, I think, of the tortoise ship. The only way how I know that is from the movie The Admiral Warring Tides. I love that movie, really, really great movie. But they have those kind of ships. They have massive ships that the Empire hasn't seen. Basically, Arlong is a navy warring nation that they managed to build up this incredible navy that basically Nakaru is always on the land. But since Arlong is more water people, they were able to keep this on the wraps and just do like a big evolution of shipbuilding. And when we were on one of the ships for a while, I just wanted to set on fire just to get away from people. But no, the nation of Hesperia, the Hesperians that we only heard mentions of in book 1 show up, and they have blimps. So they have both sea and air, and they have guns that Viceroy really, really, really wants. And Nezha, I am sorry, man, but the moment these people walked into the warm room, I'm sorry. Your father and brother weren't making it easy on me, but when I meet the people, the nation, the representatives, your mother brought, and when I met your mama, I haven't been so quick to exterminate an entire bloodline, minus one person, destroy with the fires of hell and the raging seas of the sea gods, and just bring lightning from up above and unleash death to an entire nation as bad as this. This is what frustrated me. This was the peak. This was the, I could not breathe. I could not read. I just had to sit there and just stew in my own misery. Nezha's mother brings the Hesperians and this guy named Josephs. I think so. That's his first name. His last name just made me want to say Turkid, but that's not it. But Josephs. He is the English John Smith into a new world. These people are beneath me, not civilized unless we bring our version of civilization. Figurehead of a nation that we have not seen, who has all the weapons and toys and gadgets, and will only be to see this republic. He will only spectate. He will only write down and report, and then deem whether or not they should invest in this potential of a civilization. And he brings the Grey Company, which Nezha's mother is completely a part of their doctrine of the Maker. That's it, not the creator, the Maker. And with that brings Sister Petra, who sees Ren and believes she is a person possessed by chaos, and it's their duty to save them and enlighten them because they are better. Oh my god, there's not enough wind here to cool my suffering here. But yes, this here, these are the mustache twirling villains that are so blatant in our faces. The Ren, you who claim not to be a tool, and you who do not like Sister Petra but just goes along to appease Viceroy, and thus appeasing the Hesperians in the hopes of we get their weapons to be tested on, to be noted on, with the basically what's the word? I am very frustrated now. With these, it's not settlement, the subtlety of the practice of eugenics. Oh my god. Nezha? Me? I curse thy family, and I will send destruction upon this nation. This was bad. This, it made me fury and rage. Did not describe how I felt. And they brought these people, and I met Nezha's mother. Sudachi makes the first move because while we are all hoping to get the fun toys, the river gets poisoned. And again, because we were separated from them for so long, like they were put out of Ren's control and put somewhere else, Aracha, one of the Sika, who is water formed, dies because the river is poisoned. And I was like, oh no, he died. Rin, Kate, and Venka, who is there at Arlong, and goodbye, father. She wants blood. We do go on a mission to go see where the poisoning is happening, because it's happening in the river. That means something has to be bringing the river, and we find out these poisons are being held in animal intestines. Very good for waterproofing and will dissolve at the moment that we desire. And we find out the culprit behind that is Nyang, who we haven't seen since she left at Sinigard, which was a very long time ago in book 2, where I was like, oh, right, you existed. And then Kate kills her because, one side is on the other and they're calling each other traitors and all that stuff, and, just acts of war. So she dies. I'm like, oh, bye, I guess. We now are on a ship heading upriver, because now as the Republic, we have to actually gain territory, we have to gain grounds, thus also supplies and men. And Jinja is in charge of that. Luckily, we're on a different boat. We're attacking villages, like small, undefended villages. And, again, we're playing the vote to what happens to your man. And Rin is also kind of picking up on that, they really don't have a choice. And it's very, under duress. So that doesn't feel like, democracy. Again, luckily, we're on a different boat. And I was like, for a moment, happy when a storm happens and we get a feeling that it might be Phelan. You remember the wind god that was released and now is flying about the clouds, causing chaos and havoc however he pleases, or just decides to have a nice little breezy day. So I was like, is Phelan causing this storm? Is he back? But the storm passes on, and we continue upriver to Ram territory to try to, dissuade the Ram Lord. But he does pick up a fight, and they send Baji and Sunni in there, try to keep the Ram Warlord distracted, because we're kind of hitting up against a Trojan wall. And luckily, we managed to open the gates, and the only way how to get the Ram Warlord to surrender is that Rin manages to find his son, and but we also see a very interesting aspect that could have been used a little bit more, because this would have brought more to the Civil War, is the fact that the Ram Warlord brought into his services remnants of the Federation, because you remember some of them were still in the mainland while the islands got burned up, leaving a whole sporadic amount of Federation soldiers, Muganese, in Akara. And now they're just being bands of bandits just roaming the countryside. So we had messages of that, but now we actually see them being hired for use of war. Of course, people wanted them dead after the city was taken. And Rin especially, and she especially wanted to see the demise of the warlord for actually, going with this idea. But I thought that could have been easily used. This could have been a good idea to, while they're trying to take over the countryside, we are seeing bands of the Muganese, of remaining Federation troops, going across the country, just whether if they are now being out as mercenaries as hired, if they're trying to claim land as their own, or if they're just, just going about trying to find a new way of life. That would have been interesting to see. That could have brought in, like, even though it might have been like a subplot, it would have been like an interesting conflict to put as a hurdle for the Dragon Republic. Rin calling for blood for the fact that, the Muganese were used, and Jinja being a butthead, she does attack him, there's a little skirmish in a council meeting room, and the Sika were disbanded. She is now a 9-to-5 grunt foot soldier, but she just uses that, basically keeping your mind busy situation where she doesn't think about it. She's just like, I'm just good at killing, I'm gonna do this. And remember, she doesn't have the power of the Phoenix, and she's like kind of forgetting the feel of the fire. Again, this whole seal thing could have been more, could have been used more, but it just kind of felt forgotten, just as the remaining members of the Sika. That's gonna bug me. That's just bugging me so hard. I think my fanficky mind actually infected this book, because I was thinking, because we're going upriver with warships that aren't really meant for river fighting, and we're seeing that they're having difficulty with that. But as we're going through the Ram territory, I believe we're going to another territory, we do get stopped at a city, which is built specifically for fortifications, for siege battles, which Jinja is starting to feel the frustrations of losing and having the Hesperians who are there witnessing this. So he starts being reckless with planning, meaning he wants a full assault on this city, which is able to buff them very successfully. And that's where I was thinking in my fanficky brain, we did come up with a city specifically designed for this, and they could hold their own. My brain, before I even got here, was like they can actually make terms of their own, and seeing that, Dragon Republic was trying to make their own thing, so they could have became like their own city-state, because they are on one of the rivers. Remember the dams that Chagan and Kara blew up and everything? They are on those rivers, so they are on a main river. They survived. They have a functioning society. They actually have men at arms to not only perfectly man the walls and ensure that they don't crumble, but they also have numbers as well to defend them, both above ground and if they have to as foot soldiers. And they again are able to buff the warships, so they could have claimed city-state of their own. But again, that's my own fanficky brain. In the book, they frustrate Jinja so much it make him look bad. Another bad thing, the fact that we are warships in a river and we have to divert from this city and go down another river, is the fact that winter is coming. And I don't know how many times Rin and Kate and Nezha bring this up to Jinja, but he's like, we cannot lose ground. So up the river we continue with limited supplies, and one river having lanterns that when they get touched, they explode. So we backtrack, losing time to go down another river, which there's explosives in the water, and they just start going boom, boom, boom. No one is safe in the water, and these ships aren't designed, I repeat, they are not designed for river battles. They are not designed for close quarter battles. These are meant for the ocean, so they cannot maneuver away from these explosions. And in doing so, Rin sees the water lift, water bending style, and it contains the explosions, and you see them and the water just explode, not harming anyone. And someone is raising their hand, and it's Nezha, about to lose control to a god that Rin manages to subdue him. And people think, well, some people, secret people, think it's an affliction that he is suffering, because his mother, when we met the Hesperians for the first time, told Visera, you promised you could fix him. And what did Enki say when we saw Nezha back then, all those many months ago? I didn't know you knew another shaman, something in that manner, because Nezha was able to survive a fatal attack. And now he can summon the water. He can control water, which Rin sometimes says you could have ended a bunch of things with. But he is a shaman. Really not a good time though right now with this experience. Jinja stresses me with prisoners to go into the river to remove the bombs that are down there. And we go to a city that's controlled by the Wolf General. He's now a self-imposed warlord who is very ha ha ha. And Jinja, if you hadn't stressed me at the beginning, your level of trying to oppress not only Daddy, but also the Hesperians, you've been reckless ever since we went upriver. This just takes the cake, because it's winter, water is low, and we do not a river battle with the Wolf General, but we do a lake battle with apparently Nikara's navy, which they say are little ships. against our big ships, so we think we can take them. Which I'm like, I thought little ships in certain scenarios can whoop big ships' butts. And that's what happens, because what does the Wolf General have? He has skimmers, which are designed to be fast and get up close and inflict severe damage. And these warships are stuck in this lake, and they can't do anything, and these skimmers of the Wolf General start picking them off one by one. This is bad. Jinja, we told you to turn around, but no. You wanted to continue this battle, and you are being picked off by these tiny itty bitty ships that you should have been like, let's recalibrate. But no, you go in there. The Wolf General is whooping you so hard into next week. And first of all, Rin is like, you can end this, Nesha, but he's terrified of using his abilities because there's reasons. And then I was kind of happy and kind of terrified when he showed up. Phelan, the Wind God, obliterating one ship after the other in the service of Sudaji. Of course, he plays with Rin. Chagan tries to stop him, but Phelan knocks them overboard with his wind, and Rin and Kate go into the ocean, well, the lake, that has a current that takes them to a waterfall, and as she's holding onto a rope, she sees Jinja, and he just disappears, and the rope snaps. So we don't know if he cut them or something happens, but her, Kate, Kara, and Chagan get sucked into a current, goes down a waterfall, and survives. But we don't know what happens to the rest of the crew. The river, the waterfall which sends us down the river, takes us to apparently Chagan's own stomping grounds. He actually owned territory back then. And also some apparently members of the Braid Company do survive. They're a little shell-shocked, so just leave them over. But now we are alone in territory that Chagan and Kara haven't been in for a while. And then we are surrounded by horse riders, very skilled bowmen who kind of invade Rin's mind, that have mind abilities and can also communicate. They look like they prefer communicating a bit. And from what we remember about the siblings, that they are from the hinterlands, but they are called the Ketriads. Basically, the hinterlands is what Nakara called them. Like, you're all one roving, traveling people. We're going to call you the hinterlands. Like, no, we're called the Ketriads, and we're a completely different group of people. We have our own tribes. We have our own things. We have our own cultures. We have our own way of dealing with the gods. And one of them is with Chagan and Kara's aunt, who sees Rin, and after Rin proposes to the aunt, saying, I can be a weapon you can use against Sudaji, the aunt sees that the seal is there, and she figures a way to kind of remove it. And one of them is confronting the poison / presence of Ghost Alton, who basically is like an illusion, you know, playing on the wants, the wishes, and the disappointments, the failures, the fear of Rin. And that's what Chagan tried at first to try to remove. That didn't work. But thanks to his aunt, we are able to get rid of the poison, but the seal is still intact. But the way how Rin realizes why the Ketriads don't like the Sika is because that they're shamans, is because they had an issue in the past. And one of them is the fact that apparently we get history of the trifecta. Riga, Sudaji, and Jiang were actually students of the Ketriads who to gain the abilities of the gods, and the Ketriads were like, this is the power of the gods, this is why you should understand and also be cautious of their power, but they need their power at the time. And in doing so, they killed the younger sister of Kara and Chagun's mother and the aunt, who Jeong did love. And first, that's the first time Rin has ever seen her mentor that we haven't seen since the end of book 1 act completely, not exactly soulless, but very stone cold calculating. And that also explains as to why he started acting the way he was, because apparently there might have been a seal placed on him to where he forgot about his past. But when he did his very first summoning in a while, his memories were returning, so maybe he was horrified from what he did, and that's why he just didn't want to remember. And a prophecy was placed on them, one will rule, one will die, and one will sleep forever. So it might be Riga who died, because we know Sudaji ruled, Jeong is asleep, but I still don't know how this was said. I don't know if he might be dead, but either way, that was shown to Rin, so more hatred to Sudaji. The auntie managed to remove the poison, but the seal is still intact, meaning she bonds Kate to Rin to call upon the fire and the phoenix. And I don't remember if I mentioned this in book 1, but Kara and Chagun have the same bond, and in doing so, one can get physically harmed and the other one can feel it. But it's also a good way how to channel the gods without going completely insane. And so Rin was really nervous about bringing Kate into this, but he was willing to do it. They do the bond, and she's able to call up the flames, the phoenix, and Kate does feel some of that. So we're going to try to figure out where our pain threshold is. When Chagun and Kara's cousin releases the remaining members of the Grey Company, telling them we're going to play a game, tricks them into killing his mom, his aunt, and he says that he can go to their people, to the gods, and say truthfully, I did not kill her, because this was a coup, and he wants war, because he cannot forgive the fact that his aunt, his mother's sister, was killed. Actually, correction, I'm looking at the character chart again, and it's not the sister of the aunt, it's the daughter, meaning Jeong killed the aunt's daughter, the cousin's sister, so more of a visceral reaction. Sorry about that, but yeah, it was the sister that Jeong killed. She's the death that the cousin wanted revenge on, meaning that he played a coup on his mama, meaning he got the Grey Company to kill, and in the conflict he intended to kill Chagun, but Kara takes the bolt for it and releases Chagun of their bond before dying. And the cousin says, you know, this was your fault, we're going to tell the people what's going on. The gods will agree that I did not have anything to do because I was not the one that pulled the trigger, and this is war that I want. So we have now a problem to deal with the north, and Rin and Kate leave Chagun because he's going to try to go deal with that, and they take dinghy back to Arlong. With practicing on the dinghy for a month, they make it back to Arlong. Rin informs Viceroy of what's happening. He's like telling her just to keep quiet for a while, and Rin meets Nezha, and he tells her, just listen to my story, because she's been trying to get him to accept the god that he has, the dragon god, and he's been very reluctant about it. And she's been calling him names, coward mostly, and especially what happened on the lake. Well, there's actually a prologue that happened, and the way how Nezha has this god, because usually you go to the pantheon and you accept the god. Well, this was kind of forced onto Nezha because when he was younger, him and his younger brother, there was 3 sons of Viceroy. Viceroy had left somewhere, his mother was somewhere else. Jinsha was at the academy, and they also have like an older sister that was off somewhere being tutelaged as well. Well, these 2 younger brothers went to a cove that they were always told never to go. It was like a superstition kind of thing that a dragon lived there. And since Nezha's younger brother was favored by their mother, he was always spoiled, always gifted things, and he told Rin his mother should have known that dragons like sparkly things. So they went to the cove, they went to the water, and right when Nezha was about to leave with his younger brother, the dragon showed up. A literal dragon saw Nezha, ate his younger brother, and decided, I am going to make you mine. So it seems like Nezha was forced to become a shaman because the dragon took a liking of him. But the thing is, the dragon doesn't like the fact that Nezha hasn't come to him, so he has like a tattoo that pains him, and the dragon won't let Nezha die. He can use the water, but he can get harmed, it seems, but it will heal. And he fears, because there probably would seem like faces in the water that the dragon has collected over time, and he sounded like he very much favored Nezha when he was stuck in the cove before he managed to get away. But he fears that the dragon won't let him die, especially if he gives into this pain and goes back to the cove for him to become part of the dragon's collection. He still believes that he won't die. This dragon loves its things, and if it wants it, it will have it, and thus it seems like he forced Nezha to become a shaman, and that is why he is terrified of using his abilities. And when Rin continues to try to tell him, it's a god, you can find ways how to control it, you can see how these two just don't work. This is starting to put a strain on their relationship, because Nezha is terrified of this god, while Rin, she understands the power, the brutality, the destruction of the phoenix, and she feels like in her mind she can still, in a way, she's blinding herself to being able to be controlled while she is being controlled by the phoenix, but she also thinks that she has control over it. It's a weird roundabout dance that the phoenix and Rin has, while Nezha wants nothing to do with the dragon. So he's just trying to explain to her why he doesn't want to use this ability. The city of Arlang isn't doing so well because we're having refugees come in from the south, and we haven't seen these people in a hot second. But Rin, when she hears that there are refugees from Tikani, from her home village, but she does run into Kasagi and Anfeng, and they do talk about how there were, Federation remnants going around the south, and they also mention that some of them have joined Su Daji, so more in her numbers. Again, we could have exploited this idea, but Rin sees this and she sees a past that she wanted to forget. She thought she forgot, but some of the Southerners, they look to her as a beacon of hope, as a symbol. So seeing her not really helping is making them frustrated, and we see a tension between the Northerners and the Southerners, aka the citizens of Arlang, who see the refugees in not a very good light. And this is kind of like a little conflict that Rin has that does eventually play out, where I was like, okay, I can see where book 3 is going. But we do get a message from Su Daji, a guy who just comes with a basket of dumplings. And it's kind of one of those where Pfizer is expected to rebuttal the invitation of a surrender, but the messenger offers to Nezha's mother a bag of dumplings that's spoiled because it takes a while to get there, and he says basically this meat has a very specific taste that you should be familiar with. And Jinja was never found after the lake battle, and of course Nezha's mother has a very visceral reaction to that, and Rin, on orders of Viceroy, kills the messenger, but he was like, whatever. But I was like, wow, Su Daji. Dumplings? I must say, I was surprised. But now we also find out that the mentor, the warlord that Viceroy wanted on his side for, so long. He actually does switch sides because he cares for his people. He even left a message telling Viceroy why he's joining sides with Sudaji, because he understood that Viceroy had a nice, happy little dream. But to him, he actually cares for his people, and if they continue with this republic, that Viceroy is thinking about the future of the future people of the republic. He's like, I have to think about my people now, and I am sorry I could not be part of this, but I have to think what's good for my people. If that means joining Sudaji, then I must. So I am sorry, but I have to go. This also follows up the fact that Sudaji is bringing a ship fortress, so we're gonna try to stop this as much as we can, but this thing, it's just meant to rove, and it's huge. It's humongous, meaning there's a lot of people in that ship, and now we also have a warlord who had a number of soldiers on her side. So we're kind of looking at the end of a barrel, but through Kisagi, Rin is led to a secret meeting with the other warlords of the south. One is Rooster, one is Monkey, and I can't remember what the other one is, but they are the southern warlords who she didn't respect at all at the beginning. But it's like, again, you said you don't want to be a pawn and you don't believe that these people can come together, but these warlords, they're kind of thinking like the warlord that Viceroy respected, but they're talking about the south because they know the Federation is running amok, and their people are defenseless, and the people of the Dragon territory of the Dragon Republic really don't respect the people of the south, and they're using their soldiers as cannon fodder. And they're like, if you come with us, then Viceroy won't exactly attack us, but we have to go back to the south and secure it because we're just dying here. And of course, the one of Roosters tries to plead with Rin that you're from my province, you're one of my people, and Rin just sees them as cowards and she calls them on their bluff. But they actually put a nugget in Rin's mind that Kate thinks over, and they realize how screwed they are on this battle. Because during the Poppy War, maybe the first one, Viceroy started making plans to build ships, and I believe the second war, he was kind of made aware what was going on because he safely sent his wife to Hesperia for her safety before the second Poppy War went to full chaos to get help for his province. So here's Viceroy already building an armada and sending his wife as a delegate to get foreign intervention with weapons. So Kate thinks about this, and the reason why they think they're screwed on either ends is because they can either die in this battle, or once Viceroy wins, then that's going to give Hesperia a lot of control. And we see how they think of the people of Nikara and how they think of Rin and shamans. So either way, they can die in battle, or they can suffer at the hands of a new ruler and who they follow. And that they're like, we are literally trapped. And what makes this worse is that Viceroy wants to get ahead of the game and gives Rin a mission ahead of time that after we win, I want you to go kill Moag. Because once we're in power, the Hesperians aren't going to like the fact that she is still in control with her little side businesses. So she's going to be a headache, which Rin sends a message to warn, because can't hurt to have someone in our pocket. And we get Venka on our side as backup because Kate, of things that he can control, made wings for Rin so she can fight Phelan in the sky, and Venka is there as her cover for when she needs, to retreat and do stuff. And thus we are now on the eve of battle. The fight for Arlong happens. Chaos ensues. Rin is using her wings because she's flying around dropping bombs, and of course Fenka is covering her. And she lands on a ship with Nezha because he is battling the Wolf General in vengeance for Jinja, which very, very satisfying revenge. And Phelan does show up, and Rin is able to get past the Wind God in mind and get to Phelan and tricks them close to a mountain, which Tay and Ramza did rig, and they literally drop a mountain on a god. And Rin is trying to fly away, and she's trying to meet up with Tay and Fenka, and in doing so she actually gets hit by crossfires. You know, she's literally out in the open and flying, and she goes down the water and she's about to drown, but Nezha, against his word, used his abilities to rescue her from drowning. But of course she has to subdue him again because he's again being taken over by the god. He doesn't have as much practice with his god. And the Hesperian fleet shows up, turning the battle, because it was all of Nekara on the front lines. And again, the Empire sent its fleet, not its fleet, but its ground forces, to do what everyone said that they weren't going to do. They attacked on land, and who was on land but the refugees? And of course, Rin was able to get some people to notice that was happening. There was a splinter group, but all of Nekara were on the front lines against the Empire, and then the Hesperian fleet with their ships and their blimps showed up to turn the tide of war. And who washes up on the shore next to Rin and Nezha but Sudaji, who looks defeated, and she tries to do her special Viper's thing on Rin. There's this little kerfuffle where Rin is about to beat Sudaji, but she does the same thing that Chagin's aunt did and shares a memory. And this is where I was like, you could have brought all of your warlords under one roof and created a very loyal, confidential group of people to your side and prepared your country for the worst that was about to happen. And we could have avoided, maybe not the first Poppy War, not the second. The second one seems inevitable, but this third one, the third Poppy War, if everyone knew what she knew, things could have turned out differently. Because what do I mean? She shows Rin, a young Sudaji, a young Riga, a young Jiang, who were children before they even went to Kerchiets. They were children, literally in the streets, attacked, not by the Muganese, but by Hesperian soldiers. And it was the Muganese that saved them. They were a young Nekara empire, not even a Nekara empire, but a budding country's allies. They saved them from the Hesperians. And Sudaji had a somewhat weird agreement with the emperor at the time. And then the new one came, who was war hungry because he was influenced by the Hesperian teachings that the Nekara were beneath them, that they weren't people, that they weren't human, that they were uncivilized, and that you can take over. And she shows this to Rin, saying, who is your true enemies before dipping? Sudaji! You could have shown the warlords and their successors and the teachers of Sindicard these memories, and you could have ended. It was like a nice little power trip, I guess. But you could have ended all of these tensions between the provinces and brought them under one goal. We could have actually understood the fact that we might have had an ally with the Mughals. And if we found out that the new emperor was corrupt, we could have actually prepared for that. We could have actually understood what was going on, because she knew that the true enemies were the Hesperians. And you allowed everything to unfold. We could have avoided so much trauma. We could have caught Viceroy by the throat before any of this happened and called him out on all of his bull. But no, you let everyone fight each other. You allowed the new Federation troops, the new Mughals, of this new doctrine that was inspired by the Hesperians to attack your countrymen. You could have avoided all this and had us unite to go against the true enemy. But no, you decided to show us this and a little memory flashback, and bye! And the war is over. And long live the Dragon Republic. If I see you in book 3, it's not words I'm trading. It's something a whole lot worse. The war is over. We have to do a victory parade to show, as a symbol that the Dragon Republic has survived and will prevail. Yay, democracy. And so Rin, who's kept on the lid for a very, very long time against Sister Petra and the Grey Company, the fact that Sunni and Baji are shamans, because they only knew Rin was the shaman, and considering how they feel and what's going to happen to the shamans now that the Dragon Republic is now going to be official, and how they feel about shamans. Basically, if we can't cure you of chaos, you must be cleansed, purged, killed, kind of situation. And we know that Viceroy has no more use for Thissaka. Rin does tell them, we gotta jump, we gotta bail. And they're like, okay, we can do it after our night patrol. So it's close to the end of the book. And that night, when she's supposed to leave, Venka, Nezha want to have a drink, just have a blow off steam. And they bring Kate in, and she's like, I want this to be a good last goodbye. So we have a very, very good moment that they're even playing a what if game. Like, if, none of this ever happened, what would we be doing today and all that stuff. And they're just, just having a good, fun time. Even Nezha takes Rin on a boat ride to go see the river, which is glowing with the water and nightlife. And again, they do, I guess, a little ask this question, ask that question. And Rin just, does bring up the gods again. And Nezha does tell her when the Grey Company, they do want people to start ousting people who are shamans, and you can live if you don't use your abilities. And he was told that when you summon a god, there's just like a dual equivalent kind of situation where you can use the god's ability, but they also have a price to pay, which is for the Spearly, which was the Phoenix always wanting, destruction, fire, chaos. For Baji, for his monkey god, it was like he always had to fight. So if he was, with this war over, he would have had to fight for something else, or the god would kind of just slowly take over. So Rin kind of tried to explain it to Nezha, but it's just that they were kind of clashing both on ideals, with how Nezha felt about his god and how Rin felt about her god, and the fact that he wasn't taught the way of the gods compared to how Rin had shown. And now that he's telling her this and he's asking, like, can you not use the Phoenix's ability? And she's like, I just got this back. It makes me feel whole again. It's like, I can't imagine myself without using the fire. And Rin is subdued by Nezha. Literally stabbed in the back, which she awakens from, imprisoned, is whipped by Neja's mother, and she's like, y'all all knew Neja had a god. He was a shaman because it was pretended off as, symptoms like a seizure or something, and he was trying to keep it silent, but apparently his family knew, and that's why Neja's mother wanted him fixed. And in doing so, because she didn't meet up with them, or the fact that they already knew it was time to get rid of them, Rin watches outside her window as Suni and Baji are brought up because they were never revealed as shamans. But what does Visera do? He sells them out, and it's death by firing squad. And Visera offers Rin to the Hesperians and the Grey Company. But she tries to take Neja down with them because they didn't know that Neja was a shaman. But I think with Visera's silver tongue, he manages to get his son out. But he says, like, I no longer have use for you. History will remember, but they will also remember how I led us into the new age with our allies. So, again, you're shocked that he would do this after you were already planning to make a run for it? I don't know. Kate uses the bond between her and Rin to find out where she is, because he's like, where the freak are you? And she manages to tell him, and before she is shipped off to be with the Hesperians, they're going back home, Kate manages to, monkey climb his way up on the side of the palace, bust Rin out by breaking her hand because he was able to get her ankles unlocked, but there's a problem with the one over her wrist, so he has to break her hand. They scale down, they have to run across the open, which, again, I wish I saw more of them. I wish I could feel the bond that I did from book 1, but Ramza is a diversion. He buys them time. He's trying to light his bombs, where he manages to do it, but then dies by guns and blows up the entire courtyard, and they run, and Kate lets them know that the southern warlords, the monkey warlord, managed to get away. One is captured, but the one of Rooster was killed because they were with the refugees, and Visera sent soldiers in to get them. And we already saw tension between the Southerners and the Northerners, and with this attack, this involvement, and the Southerners being very against it and seeing the taking and killing of the warlords, they revolted. Soldiers from the south, from those provinces, attacked, and Visera allowed the Hesperians to open fire. So when they get to a boat that's operated by Fenka, who is with them, she says all they've been hearing are gunshots. It's been smelling gunpowder. They get out through the river. They see Neja, and he allows them to go through, and they run across a ship that is waving the flag of the new Dragon Republic. But they find out that the letter that went unanswered to Moag was answered, and the ships are from her, operated by the Black Lilies, and they managed to escape. Rin does get her hand looked at. There might be a possibility of losing the hand. I wonder how that's going to work for Kate. The monkey warlord is actually on the ship. He was the one that escaped, while one is in the cells and one is dead. So we're like, this is bad. But then the monkey warlord tells them how bad it is. And the fact that Visera basically sold the country to Hesperia. And what I mean by that is international trade, tariffs, everything. All the money. The Hesperians get full control. They get their pick of the land to put fortresses on, and they are allowing not only the Grey Company full reign to do their whole missions, but the order that they follow, now Visera has to go through to make any official decrees. In return, he gets all the silver he wants. So basically, this country is about to get, the better word, get raked over by a foreign power. And they're like, what do we do now? Because we are on our own. And that's when Rin's like, we have to go to war. And Kate's like, what do you mean war? We have nothing. And she says, we have a navy, which is the Black Lilies, the forces of Moag. And he's like, well, there's oh so much that Moa can do, and do you think she's gonna help us all the way? She's like, I don't think she's gonna like the fact that Viserys gonna be stopping her at every which way and turn, and probably will put a bounty on her head. And so we have pirates, we have assassins, and we have a navy, a small navy at that. But Kate brings up, but we don't have an army, and that's when the monkey warlord said, yeah, Viceroy overlooked how actually powerful the South is besides our agriculture, because Monkey Warlord did have one of the good lands, right? But there's that problem of the Federation basically roving around on that countryside. But he said, do you honestly think that our peasants and farmers let the Federation do as they wanted? We have people who have no training pick up axes and manage to put off these invaders when we realized that aid wasn't coming to our defense. And he said the refugee camp was only a fraction of the amount of people he has in his territory, let alone people he welcomed in from the other southern territories. Meaning we have thousands and thousands of people that aren't soldier trained, but they are apparently guerrilla warfare trained, and we have Rin, who they see as a beacon of light, as a symbol that they are willing to go to war for. So now we have the numbers, we have an army that's willing to go to war, that I suspect are already learning the ways of guerrilla warfare. We have pirates that are basically doing the same thing out on sea. They have resources that aren't done in the legal way, but they have resources to back their use of navy warfare on the waters. And they, with their small ships that we have seen with these big ships, if we are able to play our cards right, we can use these small ships on our side. So now, at the end of the book, the Phoenix is basically, now we're on the same page. And we are now about to go civil war with the Republic and Hesperia. Again, Suidachi! We could have avoided this the whole freaking time. And that's the end of spoilers. As you can see, when we got past the halfway marker, I became a little interested. I became a little excited. I became very, very intrigued about all of the little domino effects that we might see in book 3. But as well, you saw in the beginning half how incredibly frustrated I was with our characters, the situations, and the choices that we were making. Rin, you kept saying you weren't a tool. You weren't being used. You had a purpose. But you obviously saw that Viceroy used people. You saw other people being used. And yet you kept claiming you weren't. But you were literally playing in Viceroy's hand. You were literally dancing in his palms. And you're surprised about what happened at the end. Experience. Very mustache twirly. Saw them. Saw Neja's mother. I met his father, his brother. And you saw the level of destruction I wished to inflict on these people in this other nation that now is in full control. Neja, he showed us where he stood at the end, and any friendship feelings that Rin was holding on to, and Kate, because Kate being logical and understanding of everything that's going on, he is now an enemy. He is now on the enemy side. So I have a feeling when we cross paths, Rin is gonna go full on Phoenix. But now I'm also, now that I think about it, it's the Hesperian General Josephus, I think his name. Really don't care. Is he gonna use what he learned from Rin against Viceroy, which could cause maybe a little tension, a little split in the Republic? Might play a small deal, might not. But now what I think is when Ren crosses path with Neja, it's full on battle. We also might see a border war going on in the north with the Ketrids after what happened with Chagan and his family, because the cousin really wanted war and he really wanted revenge. He got one, now he's gonna go for the other. So we might see, well, we know that Viceroy actually wanted to deal with the Ketrids, he kept referring to them as the Hinterlanders, basically seeing them as a little pest that we can easily reclaim the land. So I have a feeling we're going to see a conflict with them. Who knows if we can let bygones be bygones and have cavalry on our side. We have a navy. We have a militia. We can use a cavalry. That would be interesting. Sudaji, if I see you, it's not going to be words I'm going to be trading with. It's going to be something else. But I want to see what her plans are for book 3. Because we could have avoided this whole problem if you had talked with people. If you had spoken and let people know what was going on. But I wonder what her game is now at the end. And again, with my fanficky little brain, maybe we can bring some Federation people on our side. With the prize, obviously. But they are roving around in the southern territories, in the southern provinces. But Sudaji managed to pay them to be on her side. And we saw them in battle a couple of times. So if we're able to meet their price or come to terms with some agreement or whatever, maybe we can bring them on our side. Maybe Rin could temper her hatred a little bit. Because we need soldiers. We need soldiers to go up against the Republic. And if we can't get the Ketrids on our side, we can get the Federation, who are probably as mobile as they are. Either way, possibilities. So you can see I'm a little intrigued how book 3 would go. Because book 2 just, again, I got hit by middle bookitis, bad, severe, almost lethal. Took me this long just to get through a book that wouldn't have taken me that long at all. And again, very frustrating first half of the book. Second half, questionable politicking, still intrigued, decisions were made, that just tired me out. But we started getting into things that I was really enjoying and all these possibilities that could happen at the very end. Okay. Either way, I made it through the book. That's all I can say. I made it through the book. And I am looking forward to book 3. Please don't test my patience like this one, because it was very tiring. And yeah, The Dragon Republic, book 2 in the Poppy Wars trilogy by R.F. Kuang. 2.5 out of 5 stars. My name is Sarah, and bye!